It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
All right, who do you have on now? The border guy could tell us more about ask him about the joint things that they're doing with local police departments with the feds.
I think we will, and that and a lot more. Joining us now is Ron Vitiello, former border chief. Ron, great to have you here. First off, let's take it where John was just talking about with this sort of coordination now with the feds and local, because there's word that they will at least have a number of local agencies part of this mass deportation effort. What are you hearing?
Well, this is the Trump effect, or you want to call it the Homan effect. This is state and locals, those that are patriotic and care about their constituents, right? The sheriffs, the local police departments that are not run by woke cities are willing to step in to help ICE put people who are in the country illegally, who then go on to commit another crime in those communities, on a path for removal and deportation. And so this is a good thing, and this happens when the federal government is meeting their responsibilities to both secure the border and to take people who are in the country illegally out. And so you have Texas, they've been in this fight for the last 4 years. If it wasn't for Texas, imagine how much worse the border would be without their help.
You're not going to get indicted by the Democrats because you're already taking orders from President Trump, right?
No, it's absolutely not.
Okay. You never know.
You never know these days.
The violation of the Logan Act, but that's only for foreign.
Yeah, well, that's
could be Mexico, right?
This whole dialogue with Mexico and Canada playing out in the public on Truth Social, on X, et cetera. Mexico is a really important partner in all manner of things in our country, right? There's a real cultural affinity for people. There's lots of people from Mexico who have settled in the United States, third, fourth, fifth generation people. We have a huge trade relationship, both at the border and internationally with Mexico. And then it's just, there's tourism. I mean, I for one, love to go to beaches in Mexico on the Mexican Riviera. And so having a productive relationship between the two presidents, between the two administrations, helps everyone. And I want if there's folks on the president's team, the president-elect's team listening to us right now, let's help make Mexico great again. Let's use the trade relationship, use the leverage that Trump wants to have with tariffs to get them to do what they really know they need to do, which is put these cartels back in the box, secure their own southern border, and help us on our shared border in a way that, is only possible when you have both leaders leaning in and saying, we need to make this happen. Now, Trump can go it alone here, right? The tariff is all about that, right? It's if you don't help us, that's what he did last time. In Trump 1.0, he said, if you don't help us fix the border, I'm going to tariff you. And they acted in ways that I had never seen in 34 years of government service. And so
what was the Mexican president yelling about today?
Well, I mean, I think what I saw in the media, now take it for what it's worth, right? Because we know how the media is accurate in almost all things. But what Trump put out a mandate that said, if you don't help us fix this problem, we're going to talk tariffs. And then she said something about we had a productive conversation, but we want to build bridges, not barriers. Okay, fine. She has a domestic political agenda that she has to account for. We don't have to. I think the other thing that was very important in the discussion was Trump talked about the demand for drugs in the United States. And that's a very important thing for him to put on the agenda for all of the people who are listening. So Mexico's an important stakeholder there. She's going to posture politically because that's who she is. But at the end of the day, her predecessor, AMLO, who is just as much a socialist from that part of the party as she is, did more than any other Mexican president before. And we had some really good partners like Felipe Calderon, who took on the cartels in the most meaningful way during my time in government.
Ed Cox.
Yep. But as a junior partner here, they cannot lose face. So that's why she's had to make the stand that she did, just for the sake of her own position as president of Mexico.
Right. She has a domestic political agenda that she has to follow. She ran on certain things, and we do not want to be in a situation where the general society in Mexico, not the liberals, not the elites, but the man and woman on the street in Mexico. We don't want them thinking that Donald Trump is setting the agenda in Mexico. What we do want them to know is they have a strong partner in America, including the man in the Oval Office, Donald J. Trump, will help them do things that they know need to be done in their society, which is control these cartels, stop the precursors for fentanyl from coming into Mexico, and just reduce the crime and violence both at the border and in the interior of Mexico. Stop the influence that these huge cartels have in that country.
Ron Vitiello, former border chief. How about this IG report? This is an Inspector General report from the Department of Homeland Security. And it says that these federal agencies were allowing and are still allowing, I assume, all these migrants to fly at taxpayer expense anywhere in America with no ID. And they said, guess what? This could be endangering American citizens on so many different levels.
I think if you're flying in murderers and criminals, you are committing treason against the American people.
Yeah, how could this be, Ron?
Yeah, there's no question about this. This is another example of where these liberal elites, the woke part of the Biden-Harris administration, would rather let people from the third world come into the United States at any cost. At the same time, they claim to love this country. It's inconsistent, and this needs to end. These people come here, and we have no idea who they are. We only know what they tell us. It's very hard to vet a gang member from Venezuela, even though we got really good people at the border that can do these interviews and do these interrogations. They should not be allowed to travel freely in the United States. And so controlling the border, ending this catch and release policy that exists under Biden-Harris will minimize this problem. There will be fewer people being released at the border on day one of Trump's administration, if at all.
Yeah, he's putting them on the buses and say it's a one-way turnaround.
Not on January 19th, January 21st and 20th in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that officially it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
So 2:01.
Otherwise they're going to indict him on something.
Yeah, let alone let China make war on the United States via fentanyl coming into the United States. That's a real
That's
killer.
An act of war.
That's an act of war.
No,
and I think you should say it.
And it is. Look, they remember the Opium Wars. This is their comeback.
Right?
Yeah. This is an example of how terrible the Biden-Harris administration was for this country. Last year alone, we had 73,000 people from China come across our border illegally. Most of them are released.
How about the 30,000 military-aged guys? Did we ever find out the truth on that?
And by the way, well-dressed with suitcases. How do they sound like refugees, you know?
And not one word from the administration about how they're going to handle this unique problem with China. Not one word on fentanyl we're going to do more.
I think there's treason there someplace because this does. Yeah, look, it smells.
It certainly does. They cannot claim to love this country while they let all of that happen under their watch. And I'm grateful that it's going to end on January 20th.
You don't have a country unless you have secure borders.
Yes, unless you care about this country and you do what you can to protect it. Ron Vitiello, 100%. Thank you for joining us. We love having you on, Ron, and thank you for your great service to this country. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, so much.